everyone, my name is Chris and I'm an OpenSciEd teacher in Connecticut. I'm here to share lesson 18 of the weather unit with you, which focuses on the question, how can we explain what is happening across the storms and other large-scale storms? This is a great moment in this unit. We put the pieces together, we wrap up this lesson set, realizing we can explain what's happening in a storm forecast, we can apply it to any other forecast we encounter, and it sets the stage and primes the pump for lesson set 4, which focuses on climate. So let's see how this lesson unfolds. First of all, how we got here. So lesson 17 was really like a summative lesson of the science ideas we figure out from multiple investigations. But this lesson helped us focus our ideas really on 3 things. Low pressure and cloudy days go together. Air masses and fronts move, creating conditions for different precipitation types, and that rising air masses cause lower air pressure and precipitation events. But the navigation out of 17 was a little bit different, focusing on how we might come to agreement about our ideas instead of like the typical what are we left wondering scenario. So let's dig into how this lesson approaches that. Let's take a look at what this lesson entails. This is a 2-day lesson, and it involves putting the pieces. It is a putting the pieces together type lesson to explain why large-scale storms happen and how we can predict them, but also a problematizing lesson about patterns in storm movement, like why do they go where they go. Materials prep is not a lot. There are some copies you need to do though that should be done in color, but they can be done as a class set, so you can use them year after year, and just one video to check to make sure that it works for you on your device. The lesson is 2 days with 3 large chunks. I want to just make a note here that you'll see that I kind of grouped this this middle chunk. It bridges 2 days, so it makes really nice transition from one day to the next, but it is sort of a different approach to how things are put together. On day 1, there are 2 large chunks and 1 key moment. During the first part, we revisit, take stock, and decide whether our current mechanisms, the things we're using to explain storms, are enough to explain the January snow and ice storm. And then we start to wonder, can we explain all storms with this knowledge? The second day, I would divide into 2 parts. During the first part, you continue that exploration of whether or not we can explain lots of storms, and eventually reach a conclusion that our new mechanisms are enough to explain many storms. But in the second part, students realize we still have questions about how those mechanisms got created and how they work over in the large scale. What we figure out 2 things, and we are left with one wondering. We figure out that many storms are due to the path of the air masses they follow as those air masses move, and that air masses interact with each other along boundaries and fronts. But we are left with this new question about what is typical weather, and is weather always typical? And so we have new questions about whether weather patterns are typical, or what causes those to be typical over large periods of time. And that is a perfect segue into the 4th lesson set, which focuses on climate. So elevating questions about normal or typical is important as this lesson progresses. Always have sticky notes handy for any time mentions of typical or normal arise. Let's dig into those key moments over those 2 days. I will say, Part 3, where you're developing a consensus model together and making some predictions, the key ideas box in the teacher's guide of this lesson was really important for me. It just clearly framed what and how this discussion was all about. It guides you really to focus on 3 key questions. So the first is, how could the movement of different air masses and the interaction between them cause patterns in the areas of lowest pressure, in the location of fronts, and where precipitation fell over time. The then you shift into this new scale idea. And are these mechanisms useful for explaining large scale storms? And you come to the conclusion that no, they're not. So you need new mechanisms. And there is another key idea box, and that goes with this second part of this discussion. And you need to focus on this one too. There is a twist that you have to create, and that our mechanisms poster doesn't have anything about air masses or fronts, and we need to add those ideas. So that's when you go from this previously used mechanisms into this third poster you see highlighted on the slide, and you'll notice that the entire top of the poster has changed. So keep that in mind. And so this leads you to create a new mechanisms poster for the things that aren't included, like air masses and fronts and stuff like that. And I just want to put a little reality check on this. The teacher's guide says 13 minutes for this discussion, and that's just impossible. Every time I've done this lesson, I have ended my day one class with this discussion, and have been able, though, to start with the video forecast on the next day, and it has worked out just fine. So you can shift a little bit in your what is where on this one. The second key moment I want to mention, I picked this moment because I'm a sucker for a good problematizing moment. They encourage our kids to remain curious, and this one focuses on the important idea of climate. These kids have 3 rounds of discussions where they share ideas and questions. It's a really cool jigsaw activity. The prompts just prime the pump for getting them to think, use them, and make sure every group of 4 has sticky notes to record the questions they come up with over time. I have a couple little tips and tricks for you here on this lesson. The first is pre-make as much as you can or are comfortable with on those posters. Yes, it is supposed to feel organic and generative, but prepping a few things to your liking won't hurt, especially if you're teaching this the first time. They ask you to put a new heading on one of the posters. If you have to tape and untape that through 4 or 5 classes, that can be a little bit problematic. Sometimes if you just pre-make a new version for the change of scale poster, it's just easier. And lastly, color copy the forecast in sheet protectors. It lets kids, it preserves them longer. Kids can annotate on them with dry erase markers if they want to point out key ideas to their partners during the different discussions. It just works really well, and you'll get to use them year after year. As for words, there are no new words. These are all words that they have heard before and that they are familiar with. However, there is a note in the teacher's guide that's easy to miss that says, do not introduce the word climate. So keep that in mind. That is for lesson 19. You don't have to do it in lesson 18. There are a few materials that you will use again, and then a couple things that you will make new. The mechanisms poster from the previous lesson, and then you create this new model ideas needed to explain small and large scale weather events, and then you need to save that poster for the next lesson set. I hope this has been helpful to find out what comes next and be ready for lesson 19 and the final bend of this unit. Check out the lesson 19 video.